right, so about a month from now, we'll be finally getting some Memphis Tigers basketball. Even though it's going to be an exhibition game. You got the matchup with Bruce Pearl's Auburn Tigers in Atlanta. Then you got the other matchup that's in the city, the St. Jude's tip-off classic against John Calipari and Arkansas Razorbacks, which would also be Calipari's return to the city of Memphis as a head coach with a different team for the first time, I believe. After that, it's, around November time frame, the beginning of November, it's game on. You got, you start off against San Francisco, playing UNLV again, got Purdue, Louisville, Mississippi State, Ole Miss. You played both of those teams at their arena. So, Vanderbilt, Utah State later on. Some really good teams on the schedule. Baylor is a very intriguing matchup. That's going to be at home. So, for the most part, you have a really competitive, a really interesting non-conference slate. And we all know why you have to do that, because once you get into the American Conference play, you really don't have these opportunities to make up for any missteps or get those type of wins that you can get by playing non-conference opponents that are really good. You just don't really have those. So there you have it. But my question is, and what the video is mainly about, is can the Memphis Tigers 2025-2026 resume reflect the past 2 years of what you've done? Because the past 2 seasons, Memphis has had one of the best resumes in college basketball, the best non-conference resumes in college basketball. One of the best. 2 years ago, 2023-2024, they were 11-3. 2024-2025, this past season, 12-1. And during those two years, you've beaten teams like Clemson, Texas A&M, UConn, Michigan State, Vanderbilt. Had a close game against Mississippi State, Ole Miss, 2 years ago. Beat Texas A&M. So beat Virginia, beat VCU. So a lot of those teams I mentioned went to the NCAA tournament, and also those teams had deep NCAA tournament runs, like Clemson. Clemson was really good 2 years ago when they went to, I believe they had a Sweet 16 or Elite 8 appearance, something like that. A&M is really good. So, can this upcoming season reflect that as well? We know how everything played out 2 years ago, where Memphis had looked so good that a lot of people had started to peg them as an Elite 8 team, a Final Four team. But then once non-conference play started, we went on this long losing streak. It was looking good in the beginning, but then playing South Florida on that snowing day, and things started to spiral out of control, and that resume kind of lost its weight. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that's gonna happen again. It didn't happen last year. Last year we were 12-1, and then you got into conference play, AAC play, and you had your losses here and there, but they weren't nowhere near what they were like against, what they were like the previous 2 years. The previous year, where he went on a long 5-game losing streak, he didn't have that. They didn't have that at all. You know what I mean? So this upcoming season, shoot, if they beat teams like Baylor, you beat Louisville, you beat Vanderbilt, let's say you beat both Mississippi schools, Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Man, you're gonna have one of the best resumes in college basketball. It just is, and all you have to do after that is just maintain, be consistent, don't lose too much in conference play, and they'll be allowed to get to the tournament again, and they'll possibly get another higher seed, a 5th seed again, and that's what they got last year when a lot of people were worried that Memphis would have got screwed over, even though they had one of the best resumes in college basketball. They thought that the Tigers would have got screwed over for a slot, but they got 5th seed. They won a conference tournament. They won the regular season conference title, so they were good to go. You know what I'm saying? So I expect no less this upcoming season, man. The schedule is made up, it's set up like that by design. I say that because once you get into in conference play in the American, it doesn't present those opportunities to get those type of wins under your belt, like the SEC and the ACC or the Big 12. They can afford to have play these teams that are not really good, unlike Memphis, because they can easily make it up once conference play starts, because you have those conferences are so stacked that they can build your resume. Memphis, you can't do that, but the plan is to not lose too much during non-conference play and win the games that you're supposed to win. Win the games that you're supposed to win. Last year, you had an ugly loss against Arkansas State at home, but they were able to recover. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of basketball to be played, man. A lot of basketball to be played. Start things off. Tigers, I think I'm expecting some big things from them. You change out your team again. It's for the 3rd straight time you've done that. So, probably people are going to have the same questions as they did last year. Who's going to be the top scorer? How the front court is going to look? All those things. But Penny Hardaway is showing us that he knows how to, build these teams. So, from scratch and be successful. So, there's that. But that's all I have for y'all for right now. Have a blessed day. Peace.